All right, let's dive into the life of Ho Chi Minh, one of the most influential figures in Vietnamese history. He was a man of many talents and a complex personality who left a lasting impact on Vietnam and the world. Ho Chi Minh was born as Nguyen Sinh Khang on May 19, 1890, in a small village in central Vietnam. His father, Nguyen Sinh Sac, was a Confucian scholar and teacher. From a young age, Ho was exposed to the struggles of his fellow countrymen under French colonial rule. This early exposure to the harsh realities of colonialism would shape his future. In his teenage years, Ho was sent to study in Hue, one of the major cities in Vietnam. Here he was exposed to Western ideas and the growing nationalist sentiment among the Vietnamese intellectuals, but it wasn't long before he decided to see the world for himself. In 1911, he left Vietnam and embarked on a journey that would take him to various parts of the globe. This journey was pivotal in shaping his revolutionary ideas. Ho worked various jobs, from a kitchen helper on a French steamer to a photo retoucher in London. He lived in places like the United States, England, and France, absorbing different cultures and political philosophies. In France, he joined socialist circles and became involved with the French Communist Party. This was a time of great intellectual and political growth for Ho, as he began to form his ideas about independence and socialism. By the 1920s, Ho Chi Minh had become a committed communist. He moved to Moscow, where he received formal training in revolutionary activities. His time in the Soviet Union solidified his belief in communism as a path to liberation for oppressed peoples. From there, he traveled to China and Southeast Asia, spreading his revolutionary ideas and working to garner support for the Vietnamese independence movement. In 1941, Ho returned to Vietnam after 30 years of traveling. He adopted the name Ho Chi Minh, which means he who enlightens, and established the Viet Minh, a communist-led coalition that sought Vietnam's independence from French rule. During World War II, Ho and the Viet Minh fought against the Japanese occupation of Vietnam. When Japan surrendered in 1945, Ho saw an opportunity. On September 2, 1945, he declared Vietnam's independence from French rule, establishing the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. However, the struggle was far from over. The French were not willing to let go of their colony easily. This led to the First Indochina War, a brutal conflict between the French and the Viet Minh. Ho Chi Minh proved to be a resilient and strategic leader during this time. He garnered significant support from the Soviet Union and China, which provided crucial assistance to the Viet Minh. The war ended in 1954 with the Geneva Accords, which temporarily divided Vietnam at the 17th parallel. The North was under Ho Chi Minh's control, while the South was led by a pro-Western government. This division set the stage for the Vietnam War, as Ho's goal was always the reunification of Vietnam under a communist government. The Vietnam War, or the Second Indochina War, was another long and bloody conflict. Ho Chi Minh remained the symbolic leader of North Vietnam, even though his health was declining. He was a master at inspiring his people to continue fighting despite overwhelming odds. His leadership style was marked by simplicity and humility. Ho lived modestly and was often seen in his signature khaki clothes and rubber sandals, which endeared him to the Vietnamese people. Throughout the Vietnam War, Ho's strategies and resilience earned him a revered status among his followers. The North Vietnamese forces, along with the Viet Cong in the South, fought a protracted guerrilla war against the South Vietnamese government and its main ally, the United States. Ho's vision of a united, independent Vietnam drove his relentless pursuit of victory. Ho Chi Minh passed away on September 2, 1969, but his legacy lived on. The war continued for several more years, with North Vietnam finally emerging victorious in 1975. After the fall of Saigon, Vietnam was reunified under a communist government, fulfilling Ho Chi Minh's lifelong dream. Ho Chi Minh's influence extended beyond Vietnam. He became a symbol of anti-colonial resistance and communist struggle worldwide. His writings, speeches, and strategies were studied by revolutionary leaders across the globe. He was a pragmatist who combined traditional Vietnamese patriotism with Marxist-Leninist principles, tailoring them to fit the unique context of Vietnam's struggle. Despite his revered status, Ho Chi Minh's legacy is complex and sometimes controversial. While he is celebrated as a national hero in Vietnam, responsible for the country's independence, his leadership also involved harsh measures against political opponents. Land reforms in the 1950s, for instance, resulted in significant upheaval and loss of life among the peasantry. These actions have led to debates about his methods and the cost of his revolutionary vision. Ho's personal life was shrouded in mystery. He never married, and details about his private life remain sparse. Some accounts suggest he had romantic relationships during his years abroad, but these stories are not well documented. His commitment to the revolutionary cause seemed to overshadow any personal aspirations, and he devoted his life entirely to the fight for Vietnamese independence. Ho Chi Minh is often depicted as a figure who combined Eastern and Western philosophies. His approach to leadership was deeply influenced by Confucian principles, emphasizing moral integrity, humility, and dedication to the common good. At the same time, he adopted and adapted Marxist-Leninist ideas to fit the Vietnamese context, demonstrating a unique blend of ideological flexibility and cultural sensitivity. After his death, Ho Chi Minh's image became an enduring part of Vietnamese national identity. His mausoleum in Hanoi is a site of pilgrimage for many Vietnamese, and his writings continue to be studied and revered. Streets, schools, and institutions across Vietnam bear his name, a testament to his lasting impact on the nation. Ho Chi Minh's vision for Vietnam went beyond mere independence. He aspired to build a society based on equality, social justice, and economic self-sufficiency. While Vietnam has faced numerous challenges since reunification, Ho's ideals continue to influence the country's policies and aspirations. Internationally, Ho Chi Minh remains a complex figure. For some, he is a symbol of resistance against imperialism and colonialism, a leader who stood up to powerful nations and succeeded in achieving his goals. For others, particularly those affected by the Vietnam War, his legacy is more contentious, associated with the harsh realities of war and the profound transformations it brought to the region. In essence, the life of Ho Chi Minh is a story of unyielding determination, strategic brilliance, and profound impact. He was a man who saw the suffering of his people and dedicated his life to their liberation. His journey from a small village in Vietnam to the halls of power in Hanoi is a testament to his extraordinary vision and relentless pursuit of independence and unity for his country.